Hey everybody, Pastor Tim here. I didn't do a Kingdom Key yesterday because I anticipated the governor's announcement and I wanted to go ahead and reserve that for today. If you want a text to follow, it can be found in Hebrews chapter 10, verse 23 through 25. And it says, I'm going to paraphrase. It says, continue to spur one another on toward good works, not forsaking the gathering of yourselves together, as so many are in the habit of doing, but do so even more as you see that day coming. So we have a scriptural command for churches and God's people to gather together. So with that said, I'm going to read a statement from myself just to kind of keep myself on track. Since this pandemic began, I've made it my personal mission to do three things. Number one, trust God. Number two, trust the leadership God has put around me. Number three, trust my own judgment. I will go on record to say I'm not a doctor, not offering medical advice. What I am offering is what I feel the best guidance I can give as a pastor. We have been at this for almost a year. And to this point, we have followed every guideline, taken every recommendation, even when the court overturned the governor's decisions regarding churches and deemed them as unconstitutional. We have complied simply out of respect to his office. What started off as stop gatherings for 2 weeks ended up being strung out for several weeks and ultimately ended up completely being 8 weeks. And even then, when we got back together, we were encouraged to continue online, but if we were to gather, we were to impose these certain restrictions, for which we kept all of them. This has been going on for 10 months. Of course, we've been 30 more days, basically perpetually. So 10 months we've been at this, and now we're being asked to go all the way back to the beginning, to close our doors and to go to online services only, this time until December 20th. We've closed our doors for 8 weeks. We missed Holy Week, Resurrection Sunday, some of the most significant events in Christian history. We sacrificed those things because, we wanted to be good stewards, good citizens, and do our part to help stop the spread of this virus. We checked temperatures of every individual until last month. We still check children up to 5th grade because they can't express sometimes whether or not they're feeling well. We've reduced our capacity to well under 50%. We provide hand sanitizing stations. We require and provide masks. We stop food sharing events. We don't do potlucks. In fact, for the most part, we've stopped food events, period. We've stopped handshaking. We've stopped praying for people. And while I'll admit that we may have kind of gotten lax on that lately, we're going to reinvigorate those efforts. We haven't laid hands on people other than maybe a conference or two, to which, again, we will be more strict on that even moving forward. My point is, we as a leadership, we as a church, we as a body, we've done our part to stop the spread of this virus for 10 months. Meanwhile, we have all watched kind of helplessly as multiple gatherings have been allowed, indoors and outdoors, for political causes, and for some good causes, for social justice causes, but they're gatherings nonetheless, unchecked. No social distancing, half implemented masks, if implemented at all, people shouting, people within shoulder to shoulder, no social distancing at all. We've watched as all of this has happened. And we knew what was going to happen. I mean, logic tells you if you do that this thing is going to spread. And we've watched these same leaders that are asking us as churches to make all these efforts praise these things. I've watched as they go out and greet them and say, we're listening. And you know what? That's wonderful. I'm glad our government is listening to the people. That's part of their job. So again, we're being told we can regather on December 20th. But if the pattern of the past is anything similar to what's going to happen in the future, we know that it'll be extended. And we'll be asked for even more. So in that light, I feel as a church, we're doing our part. And we will continue to do our part. One way we will do our part is our services, as always, will be available online. Anyone who is uncomfortable getting out, who feels sick, who is expressing any symptoms, who is in quarantine, 100% join us online. No problem. We'll continue to do that. But this time, I cannot in good conscience lock our doors and tell people not to come. Our services will be open to anyone that wishes to come and feels safe to do so. No one will be shamed, bullied, called uncommitted, should they elect to watch online. But for those of us that would like to gather, as the scripture tells us to, we will not be bullied, intimidated, or called uncommitted to a cause either. We will gather with the same precautions in place that we've utilized since May. Reduced capacity, social distancing, masks on until seated and not moving, and safely distanced from other families, family groups sitting together. We offer no food events, no food sharing, no home groups. And all of these are guidelines that are already in place and have been very effective. Along with that, we will trust God for our health, and we will not surrender to fear. So there's my official statement. Just a couple things I want to share in my heart. I've had to guard my heart. I've had to measure my emotions. I'm an emotional guy. Those of you that know me, you know I'm an emotional guy, and I have a tendency to wear my feelings on my sleeve. So I've had to sleep on this a couple nights, knowing this was coming. We all knew this was coming. We knew what the recommendations were going to be. It's just common sense that that's where this was going to lead. So I feel like I'm in a good place. And I feel like that I'm doing this from a good place. I don't feel like I'm doing this to be combative. I don't feel like I'm doing this for any other reason than I feel it's the right thing to do for Lakeside. I do not condemn any other churches that elect to go online only. I do not question any other shepherds that choose another path. This is just the path I feel God has chosen for Lakeside. We have been meeting together since May, and so far to this point, we've not had any issues, and I believe that's in part due to a few things. Number one, because we've been wise in following these CDC guidelines and beyond. The second thing is I believe that God is protecting us, and God is giving people wisdom to know, maybe I should stay home today. I'm not feeling so good, and we encourage that. So I'm not doing this to be combative. I'm not doing this to rebel against authority. I believe fully in Romans chapter 13 that we should obey governing authorities. But there does come a point where we have to obey God rather than men. And I believe for Lakeside, the Lord wants us to stay open. I believe that's his heart. And that's what I'm going to stick with. Now, as many of you know, this has hit a lot of things hard financially, a lot of businesses, and churches are no exception. Our income has been hit pretty hard, and we're doing everything we can to make ends meet. We're paying the bills. That's the good news. What we can't sustain is another hit. If we take another financial hit, it's going to be difficult for us. So in light of that, I'm going to be contacting the bank, and we're going to try to do some negotiation for the first 3 months of next year, just to kind of give us a head start. We've got some money stored away, so we're good for a while, but I don't want that to get eaten up by this. So with that said, there are a couple things that are very important. Number one, if you have income, it's still important that you give. Okay, give to your ability. Don't put yourself in a bind. Don't hurt yourself, but make sure that you're giving. Make sure that you're giving regularly. If you don't have an income and you don't have anything to give, we do have a food bank, and we would be glad to help you with your supplies. That's one thing, if I can be very honest, that's really aggravated me about some of these government mandates. We served 133 families on Wednesday, and they're perfectly okay with that. So we can put our people at risk to serve the hungry, but we can't keep those same precautions, which actually would be a safer environment because we're exchanging boxes, we're handing people food in a service to where we really don't have any contact with each other. So none of this makes sense to me anymore, and that's really why I'm to a point where I'm not comfortable closing our doors. Another reason I'm not comfortable closing our doors is because of the impact that I feel it had on so many people last time. While the first few weeks we were galvanized, we were excited, we were like, we're going to do this, we're going to rally together. As this wore on week after week, I saw it having a negative impact on people. I saw people beginning to struggle spiritually. And, there's a lot of people I don't feel have recovered from that. And I'm willing to have that happen again. So anyhow, this video has grown to be 10 minutes long. there's my thoughts. So tonight we will be open for service. This Saturday we have healing school. I'll post some information on that. And of course, all of this is going to be in a socially distanced atmosphere, masks, hand sanitization, everything that they would offer at a grocery store, which I just don't feel this is any different. I feel that it's probably more dangerous to go grocery shopping right now because you're in contact with people. People are in constant motion. So use your best judgment, use your wisdom. I love you all. I really do. And I wouldn't do anything that I feel would hurt you all and put you all at risk. I'm gonna do my very best to make sure that we do everything in a safe manner. But look, folks, the church is not responsible for the outbreak and spread of this right now. That's my thought. So again, I'm no doctor, but follow your doctor's advice. If the doctor is advising you to isolate, then isolate. But otherwise, we'll see you tonight. We'll see you possibly Saturday. We'll see you Sunday morning. God bless you. Keep calm. Jesus on.